The next scene shows the arrival of the teacher at Helen's house when Helen was 7 years old. Anne and Helen moved into a small cottage adjacent to the main house, and Anne rearranged the furniture in the cottage in order to throw Helen out of her comfort zone. Anne tried to teach Helen table manners, to put on a napkin for meals and to eat with a fork. Anne immediately started teaching Helen to fingerspell and recognize raised letters. Helen enjoyed these games, so Anne punished Helen's tantrums by refusing to talk with her by spelling words on her hands. Over a short period of time, Helen's behavior did begin to improve as a bond grew between the two. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the arrival of the teacher. Although Helen could repeat the finger movements, she could not quite understand what they meant. And while Anne was trying to help her understand, she was also struggling to control Helen's behavior. After a month of Anne's teaching, a miracle occurred. In Helen's own words, "We walked down the path to the well house, attracted by the fragrance of the honeysuckle with which it was covered. Someone was drawing water, and my teacher placed my hand under the spout. As the cool stream gushed over one hand, she spelled into the other the word water, first slowly, then rapidly. I stood still, my whole attention fixed upon the motion of her fingers. Suddenly, I felt a mystic consciousness as of something forgotten, a thrill of returning thought, and somehow the mystery of language was revealed to me. As a baby, Helen would voice wah-wah for water before she lost her hearing and sight. Helen immediately asked Anne for the name of the pump to be spelt to her. All the way back to the house, Helen learned the name of everything she touched, and also asked for Anne's name. Anne spelled the name teacher on Helen's hand. Helen continued to call her teacher till Anne's dying day, when Helen was 56 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, the miracle scene. most beautiful world is always entered through imagination. Helen's progress from then on was astonishing. Her ability to learn was beyond belief in someone without sight or hearing. Helen is enlightened about words and meanings. Her teacher, Anne, explains nature to her through Abhinaya, one of the trademarks of the Indian Classical Odissi style of dance. Abhinaya, or the mode of self-expression, uses a form of sign language and mime with hand gestures, body, head, neck, eye, and foot movements. The scene shows her imagining the elements of nature. For example, the rising sun with daybreak being announced by the roosters, the blooming lotus, the bees, the trees, the birds, the cow being milked. It leads into the hustle-bustle of the morning. A mother trying to get her child ready for school, a businessman waiting impatiently, bicycles, cars honking, household chores, a school and office setting. The sun reaches a peak. The heat is strong, leading to lethargy. Soon, a gentle breeze starts, and thunder and lightning precede the welcome rain. It is then evening, with the sun on the opposite side. Women cook the evening meal and make garlands with night jasmine flowers. Helen's sense of smell and touch compensate for her other deficiencies. It will soon be night with a chill wind and time to sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, the next scene shows Helen's imagination at work.
magare pada ni da pa ma pada da ni pa da ni da pa da ni da pa da ni da pa ma pa ma ga na ta ni tum da ta ni ta da ta ta ma ta ni tum da ni ta da ta ta tere na din tare tani tere na ta ta tere tani na tere tani tum tere tani ta 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 na tere tani tum tere tani ta 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 tum tere tere tum tere tere tum tere tere ta na 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 tum tere tere tum tere tere tum tere tere ta na 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 Sargadadim, sargadadim, sargadadim. Sargadadim, sargadadim, sargadadim. Sargadadim, sargadadim, sargadadim. Samina tamagare, nira tamagare, tapamagare, tapamagare, tumberetani, tapamagare, tapamagare, tumberetani, tapamagare, tere nadim tare tani tere na ta ta tere tani na tere tani tumbe tani ta 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 tere tani tumbe tani ta 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 tere nadim tare tani tare tani tare tani tere na ta ta tere tani tere tani tumbe tani ta 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 tere tani tumbe tani ta 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 tere tani tumbe tani ta 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 ta
Apparently, Helen had exquisitely sensitive fingertips and excelled in the language of touch with her fingers and hands. She could place her hand on the trunk of a tree and tell if there was a bird resting in it or not. She could also tell if that bird was singing or not. Her sense of smell was extraordinary, and she was particularly attracted to flowers. The next scene shows Helen trying to follow cues from Anne, who constantly signed into her hand. Helen desperately wanted to speak and urged Anne to find a way. It will be explained in Anne's own words how she made Helen understand the spoken word without using hands. Unfortunately though, Helen's speech never really improved beyond the sounds that only Anne and others very close to her could understand. Helen found that learning to understand others speak opened up a whole new world for her. She then wanted to study and go to college. She was sometimes called a phenomenon. Helen was 20 years old when she was admitted to Radcliffe College, the women's counterpart of the then all-male Harvard University, becoming the first deaf-blind person to enroll at an institution of higher learning. That took great courage. Anne had taught Helen to read, first with raised letters and later with Braille, and to write with both ordinary and Braille typewriters. Life at Radcliffe was very difficult for both of them, and the huge amount of work involved led to a deterioration in Anne's eyesight. At age 24, Helen graduated from Radcliffe College magna cum laude with great distinction, becoming the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. She owed it all to her teacher. They have been described as inseparable as two parts to a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, the graduation scene.
By putting her hand on my face, how we talk with our mouths. She felt the vibration of the spoken word. Instantly she spelled, I want to talk with my mouth. We found that placing her hand in this position, the thumb resting on the throat right at the larynx, the first finger on the lips, the second on the nose, she could feel the vibration of spoken words. First word she learned to articulate was the little word it. After her 7th lesson, she was able to speak the sentence word by word. I am not dumb now.
their time at college, Helen began to write about her life. She would write her biography both in Braille and on a normal typewriter. The Story of My Life was published in 1903. Although it sold poorly at first, it has since become a classic. Later, while living in Wrentham, Helen wrote The World I Live In, revealing for the first time her thoughts on her world. Her anti-war ideals were published at this time. During World War II, Helen went all over the United States, giving support to blind and wounded veterans. Everywhere Helen went, barriers and obstacles that faced the blind came tumbling down. Her boundless determination and her example of what a person with disabilities could accomplish helped change laws and create programs for people who are visually impaired. Helen mastered not only 5 languages, English, French, German, Latin, Italian, but sign language as well. She learned how to ride a horse, to swim, to row a boat, and even to climb trees. Helen was curious about dance. In the early 1940s, Helen and Martha Graham, the famous modern dancer, were good friends. Often, Helen would visit Martha's studio and watch the dancing by feeling the vibration of the dancers on the wooden floor. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take you to witness a modern dance practice in Martha Graham's studio.
Six, seven, eight, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, and 4.
She once asked Martha, "What is jumping?" Martha asked one of her students, who later became a famous dancer, Merce Cunningham, to demonstrate. She placed Helen's hands on Merce's waist. When Merce's body would jump, Helen's hands would go up and down, up and down. Understanding dawned on her, and she exclaimed with a joyous smile, "How like thought! How like the mind it is!" What a profound statement. From this, we must try and understand how a blind, deaf woman assimilates her touch and feelings. Helen Keller began her life's work of helping blind and deaf people. She told her blind and deaf friends, "Never bend your head. Hold it high. Look the world straight in the eye." Helen and Anne filled many years with lecture tours, speaking of her experiences and beliefs to enthralled crowds. Her talks were interpreted sentence by sentence by Anne Sullivan and were followed by question and answer sessions. Helen traveled around the world to lecture and to visit areas with a high incidence of blindness. Her travels took her to 39 countries, and her visit to some of the countries will now be presented through the unique cultural dances and music. First, South Africa. Helen did not have to touch a drum to keep rhythm. She could hear drums through her fingers. Helen keeps time to the rhythm of the mine workers' South African gum boots dance. Ladies and gentlemen, you will now see the mine workers coming up from the mines. Helen visited Japan a few times to encourage the blind and deaf in that country. The Japanese government presented her with an Akita dog that she named Kamikaze. She loved animals. Ladies and gentlemen, the Japanese dance. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Life is given so we may grow in love. Helen's visit to Great Britain is portrayed with the English country dance. This is a joyous dance performed in groups at celebrations. She could feel applause through her feet. She felt audience laughter through the pleasant tremblings in the air. She heard music through her hands. Although Helen visited many countries in Europe, we have chosen Spain. In Spain, Helen feels the vibrations of the flamenco dance. This will be shown with the traditional long skirts and also with the fans.
Qué bonita está Sevilla, ay, llegando el Medellín. Y llegando el Medellín, qué bonita está Sevilla, y llegando el Medellín. Qué bonita está Sevilla, y llegando el Medellín. Y llegando el Medellín, yo me di pa' mi Sevilla, que me quiero divertir. Y emborracharme en Triana, un tricalvo aquí. Sevilla mora, mi guapa señora, mi torre de oro, que sentía más grande y temprano moro. Lo bello que yo te di, los besos que yo te di, ya no te los quita nadie, los besos que yo te di, ya no te los quita nadie, los besos que yo te di, los besos que yo te di, bien tiene el agua en el aire, no se separarán de ti, bien tiene el agua en el aire, no se separarán de ti. Y aunque tú vivas con otro y no te acuerdes de mí, y no te acuerdes de mí, que ya no te lo quitará nadie, los besos que yo te di.
The chief handicap of the blind is not blindness, but the attitude of seeing people towards them. We are never really happy until we try to brighten the lives of others. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. So, let us look for open doors and brighten the lives of others. Helen's travels in India have led to the establishment of the Helen Keller Institute for the Deaf and Blind in major cities. She is shown with prominent Indians during a visit to the country in 1950s with President Rajendra Prasad, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Carnatic musician M.S. Subbulakshmi. She is shown in the slide adorned in a traditional sari with flowers in her hair as she keeps time joyously to the Dandiya Ras folk dance performed with sticks. In 1964, Helen was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian award, by President Lyndon Johnson. A year later, she was elected to the Women's Hall of Fame at the New York World's Fair. She met every U.S. president from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon Johnson, 12 in all, and played a major role in focusing the world's attention on the problems of the blind and the need for preventive measures. The slide shows her with President Eisenhower and President Kennedy. In 2003, Alabama honored its native daughter on its state quarter. A statue of Helen Keller was unveiled at the U.S. Capitol in 2009. It is now at the United States Capitol Visitors Center. Helen loved dancing the waltz and was a graceful dancer when led by an able partner. The next scene shows all the participants dancing together in their various costumes, portraying unity and peace, the principles she proclaimed. Ladies and gentlemen, we conclude with a tribute to Helen Keller, signing, "We love you." Ladies and gentlemen, May I request the Vice Chancellor to kindly come on stage and say a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear guests, my colleagues of the university and the students, I have no words to express seeing this grand saga of the life of a most outstanding person, Helen Keller. On behalf of all of you, myself, Amity University and the entire Amity family, founded by Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our founder president, I wish to express our very grateful thanks to the US Embassy, today represented by Ms. Lydia, Cultural Secretary, Mr. Ramesh Jain, who took the initiative, and the American Center, and most of all, to Dr. Chitra Krishnamurthy, Mr. Krishnamurthy, and all the dancers, and to Nrityalaya in Washington, D.C., established and being directed by Dr. Chitra Krishnamurthy. I think it's the most fantastic event witnessed today, which has touched our hearts, all of you, all of us. There could have been no better presentation which touches hearts by this most graceful and most eloquent and most beautifully presented life and struggle and what this wonderful lady achieved in her lifetime. As I see, she lived 88 years, but she is immortal. I would not take more time, except to say that this has been one of the most graceful presentations on this stage and in the campus of Amity University for someone. And I wish everyone to give a very, very loud applause to all our artists. I would now request Miss Lydia and Mr. Ramesh Jain to please also come on this stage. I request Mrs. Manjeet Singh ji, Ms. Divya Chauhan ji, Shri Manjeet Singh, Sushil ji and Shobha ji to please also come on this stage so that we can express a token of our love and affection and gratefulness to this troupe by just presenting them a shawl from Amity University. I would also request Mrs. Baines to please come on the stage. I would request Ms. Chaya Shodia to also please come and announce the names of all the artists.
May I request Mrs. Divya Chauhan to present it to Dr. Chitra Krishnamurthy, please.
किसका नाम बोला?
Krishnamurthy, Dr. Krishnamurthy. She is the founder of Nrityalaya. Please give her a big round of applause, please. Miss Nirja Balachandran. Miss Krisha Parekh. Miss Sanchari Ghosh. Miss Aditi Kolekar. Miss Neha Agrawal. Miss Mansi Mistry. Miss Anjana Mohanty. The person who was on lights, Mr. Prakash Parik. Mr. Paresh Parik, please. May I request Vice Chancellor to present? On sound, Miss Mamta Kukleti. Narration and stage, Mr. Krishnamurthy, please. Miss Nadia Baraza, she is Assistant Culture Program Officer, American Center. And Mr. Ramesh Jain, he is Senior Program Officer in American Center. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Once again, a loud applause for the